I am super proud.
I am proud.
I am proud.
I am proud to be a Filipino American.
Have you ever been misidentified or misrecognized as another ethnicity before?
Yes, a lot of times.
Uber drivers, waiters, people on the street, like it happens. Other Asian people.
My whole life. Like literally everyone I've ever met thought I was Mexican. Like not one person has ever thought I was like Asian or Filipino in like any capacity.
I've definitely had people tell me that I didn't look Asian.
Parents would be like, "Are you Mexican?"
I've had like a customer tell me that I looked exotic, but he didn't know how to place it. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm Filipino." And then he was like, "Really?"
A lot of times when I was younger, I was mistaken as being Chinese, which is the stereotypical thought for people who are not Asian or Asian American.
Some people thought I was Chinese. I've had people think I was Hawaiian. I've had other people think I was Korean or Vietnamese or Japanese, and they just can't pinpoint the Filipino identity in me.
Every time I allow someone to say just think that I'm fully white and not talk about my Filipino heritage at all, I do feel like a little bit like I'm disrespecting the past, my past, my family's history, and the struggles that they had to get here and to get me to be where I am today.
Growing up surrounded by my culture, I never really took it to heart. I was so confident in my self-identity at that time to really never question myself.
It just sucks because it's not like I can fix my face. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
But I also think it's interesting that so many people don't know what Filipino is.
I also feel like people just shouldn't assume. If you want to know, straight up ask. Don't put your own label onto me.
Filipinos are too mixed among other ethnicities or too immersed into a certain ethnicity that they can't really pinpoint what we're supposed to look like.
I know that I am, and I don't have to prove it to anybody, but just years of hearing that and years of constantly having to fight to say that I'm Filipino, which I think is so dumb, it's just made me internalize it, even though I do understand that I still am.
But definitely it does affect people when they are first gen, to really make them question if people see me this way, what do I see myself as? And that really does pose a problem with first generation Filipinos, is that they don't know how to self-identify, and it causes a lot of mental and identity issues for them.
Would you say that mental health is talked about in Filipino households?
Oh, definitely not. I would say it's definitely not talked about at all.
Hell no. No, not at all.
It is not talked about in Filipino households, which is so ironic because everyone's in the medical field.
I feel like mental health is really often neglected.
I personally know that mental health should be discussed in every household, but in a Filipino household, from my personal experience, I think it's a taboo topic.
Growing up, whenever I was sad, I couldn't really talk to my parents about it because I feel like either my mom would just tell me to pray more, or she would just tell me about her experiences and what she's been through, and how if she can get through that, then I can go through whatever small thing I was being sad about.
In Filipino families, they fail to realize that the certain standards they hold, the words that they say, really affects their children as an individual and how they operate. Anything we say or our reasoning would just be, backlash, or they think we're talking back.
Therapy, it's something that's not really pushed by Filipino parents. They're going to be oh, this waste of money, we can talk to you, blah, blah, blah. Why do you need to go to a therapist?
There's kind of this idea where if something terrible didn't happen to you, then you don't have a right to be depressed or anxious or stuff. They're you have it so well, you're here, you have food, you have a roof over your head. How can you have mental illness issues.
It's definitely a generational thing where I think my parents weren't allowed to feel like they had any mental health problems, so they don't think that we are either.
The way that they grew up is all survival. There's no time to deconstruct feelings and emotions because, one, you don't have the knowledge of it, the scientific terms for it either. And so why speak on it if you don't know it?
It's like trying to talk to them about video games that they won't understand it unless they've actually had a chance to really go through it. So that's why I think it's not really brought up, is because they never had a chance to really understand what people are going through with mental health issues.
There's this really bad habit of like avoiding confrontation or like things that make people uncomfortable, or this idea where if you can't see it, then it's not happening.
Filipinos can be very independent people, and they're not the type of people to be open about those types of feelings. They're the type of people to work hard and not complain.
Not so much checking on like, how are you doing? It's more like you have to do this. You have to go to work. You have to go to work. You have this problem. Don't address it. Go to work, kind of thing.
The general rule is that when something undesirable happens to you, you gotta stay strong. You gotta always get back up. And that's what my parents have always taught me. Rarely do we think that we're depressed. We just keep going and going.
And I feel like as the younger, more American generation, it's our job to bring it up more, even though it makes them uncomfortable and they might find it disrespectful, but it's like, it's important to address, you know?
So I think it's like a conversation that we're having now. And I think it helps too because we are in the States where the conversation is much larger than it would be in the Philippines. But if I never brought it up or like anybody brought it up, I don't think it would have been spoken about at all.